All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there, just like you, just like me. And when I say few, yeah, it's the revenue apocalypse continues. But look, I want to thank a few patrons that have come on board as of late. I don't know if this will be a complete list of folks to shout out to, but we've got Mark and Peter and Rob, Richard and Bill and Frank. And I'm trying to look down this list to see if there are any more. But I think those folks came on board fairly recently, which is very helpful because what's weird is I'm looking at analytics and I've got like 10,000 additional views in the last 2 or 3 days, but yet the revenue goes down $100. So I don't know, folks. I don't know what to do other than to ask folks $1 a month, $2 a month via Patreon, YouTube membership, which again, I typically put videos out there earlier for YouTube members. Sometimes I don't, but it depends how much time is between when the video is going to play on YouTube and when I've created the video. So sometimes I'm a little bit lazy and it takes me a while to do a video. And so there'll be less time in between when I post it and when it actually plays for everyone to see. So, with that said, let's go on to the topic here. So Brad Gillis from Night Ranger says the quiet part out loud. He says he didn't care for grunge music. It was just too much of a downer. That's the headline. So good for him. Great guitarist, by the way. Great guitarist. Oftentimes people forget about his work with Ozzy, but Brad is just a beast, and he appears to be a really nice guy. And no band has suffered more than Night Ranger from what happened to the music industry. I mean, Poison, certainly you could put them in that category, but Night Ranger had kind of a lame record label. MCA, when they first broke onto the scene, I think MCA paid a lot of attention to them and promoted them as the 80s went by, and their music continued to be high quality, radio friendly stuff. MCA just, they got busy with Tiffany and, Tom Petty and whoever else they prioritized. But Night Ranger, you think of like Motley Crue, they're out there with the catalog that they have, which is okay. I would take Night Ranger's catalog over a number of bands that go out and do like 90 shows a year. I mean, they're out there. And plus, then you've got the Damn Yankees material, which they can tap into. Uncle Ted could show up at a gig. Tommy Shaw could show up at a gig. And they're just a real fun, all-American kind of band. And they don't get the attention. They haven't gotten the attention, even though they continue to put out new material, which they did in 2021. And then they did this youth choir orchestra thing last year, I think it was. And that came out really well, came out good. And so this is what I just want to talk about what Brad said here. He said, probably 15 years ago or more, we were seeing a lot more younger kids coming to the shows, and we have the meet and greets, and the kids would come up, and I'm talking to 17, 18-year-olds, and I said, hey, how'd you get into Night Ranger? And there was a few different reasons, and I thought it was interesting. One of them was some of the kids would say, I'm not into the 90s grunge thing. These are the kids saying this. It's depressing. This is the tune, by the way, that I've been singing on this channel now since I started it. And, I know the industry doesn't want to talk about this, and they don't want to think that they destroyed what they created, but they destroyed what they created. And I've always said, hey, let the two types of music compete side by side. Don't just tell the world that stuff that isn't dark and depressing is cheesy, because sometimes, if you're going to use that word, sometimes you need a little cheese in your life. All of this stuff going on in the world, that's depressing, right? So you're going to bring in depressing music with the depressing stuff in the world, and no wonder, there's just so much angst out there and people committing suicide. And I'm not saying it's because of music specifically, but it's not helping the situation. It just isn't. And everybody knows it. Everybody understands that. And I'm not blaming the music industry. It's way easier, apparently, to market this depressing stuff and call it real artsy and bold and making a statement, emotional and gut wrenching and so forth. Whereas Night Ranger, hey, they're just playing some good old fashioned rock and roll. It's all about the fun. It's not about the darkness. And so, Brad Gillis, again, who is a top notch musician, nobody's going to accuse Brad of being like a second rate guitar player or anything. And so his opinion should matter to folks. But he's just telling you what younger fans are saying. Other kids would say, hey, man, my parents have been playing your music and Def Leppard and Journey around the house since I was growing up. Good for those parents, by the way. And I got into it and I really dig it. And other kids would just say, hey, man, it's fun, positive music. When you've got, like I said, bands like Journey, Def Leppard, and crazy, more wilder stuff like Motley Crue. See, I wouldn't put Motley Crue in that category, but I get it. This is the guy who played and hung out with Ozzy for a while. I mean, these kids kind of get into that stuff, and it's not the same downer music that came out in the grunge era. A lot of the stuff in that era I liked, but a lot of it I didn't care for very much. It was just too much of a downer. And I think music should be more of a positive feel. So there you go. Brad Gillis, telling it like it is, saying the quiet part out loud. It's not that controversial. It's not that crazy to say, hey, I don't like this. It's really tough, though, in the era of you're supposed to like everything and you're supposed to be super positive. No matter how bad it is, you're supposed to applaud and say, hey, it's not so bad. It's good. This is what everybody's doing these days. And, because certain people are getting to be a certain age, it's easy to write them all off as, front lawn warriors, front lawn complainers, get off my lawn. In the good old days, we used to listen to Night Ranger, and but it's true. In the good old days, we used to listen to Night Ranger and Journey and Def Leppard, and those bands are still on the radio. Now, in the case, again, of Night Ranger, this is a band that got ripped off, totally got ripped off, because they have songs that were released as singles. Number one, you're not going to hear them ever again on the radio. Number two, they didn't get the proper attention back when they came out. And so, they could be playing a 20-song set of hit after hit after hit. Instead, they've got maybe 8, 9 super well-known songs, and then some deeper album tracks. And then you stray into the damn Yankees territory, thanks to Jack Blades, and you've got an even deeper catalog. And, hey, if Ted shows up for a show, they can play Stranglehold and a couple other Cat Scratch Fever. They can have fun. And I think they play Crazy Train too, because of Brad. They play some Ozzy stuff. So it's not a bad show. So if you have a chance to go see Night Ranger, highly recommended. Great band, super underrated band. The radio industry didn't do this band any favors over the years. I just go back to Dawn Patrol and when that came out, and it was just, that was a great album. And anybody who criticizes that period for Night Ranger when they broke on the scene, I don't know if they really like good music. I just don't know what else to tell you. So, speaking of good music, here's the outro portion of this Mecca and their album Everlasting. In fact, if you're a Night Ranger fan, a Journey fan, a Toto fan, a Survivor fan, this came out last year, made my top 10. Joe Vanna, kind of a genius. So, again, check out Mecca, and hopefully Night Ranger will come out with some new material. Rumor has it that they might be working on some new stuff, and we hope they continue doing that. You've got to keep the torch burning, or eventually that torch is just going to go out. All right, so that's the video. Thanks for watching again. Don't forget about Patreon and YouTube memberships. Views go up, revenue goes down. So apparently I need more views, but if you can help me out, if I can build this community, then I won't have to worry all that much if I put out a video and it flops. I just want to put out content that the audience enjoys. And anytime I stray from that, it's a risk. So please, if you can help me out, I would very much appreciate it. God bless everyone. And please pray for peace in the Middle East and around the world. And I will see you soon.